Hello, students of the guitar. Um, I hope today this video will be the last on the subject of secondary dominance in the major keys. If you've been watching my YouTube videos on the subject, you should be familiar with uh, with this topic by now. But there's one more thing that I want to go over on the subject. Is I cannot emphasize enough that we need to know in the major key there's one primary dominant seventh chord, which is the one built on the fifth degree of the major scale. In the key of C major, we all know it's a G dominant seventh chord, which we can extend to 9 and 13, where we know that. We also know we can extend the dominant chords, the dominant 7 chords, by adding extensions such as 9 and 11 and 13, and we also know that the 9 is actually extension 9 is actually 2. The second degree in the major scale, and you just add 7 to it and then give you the 9, and then the 13 is the 6th degree of the major scale, and then you add 7 to it and gives you 13 in octave. So when you play your dominant 7, any dominant 7 chord you play, and that dominant 7th chord is going to resolve on a major tonic, on a major chord. So to make it sound, more exciting, you can add colors to it. So you can add the 9, because you already have 7. You have 9, and you can 11 and 13. 11 is actually note number 4, and you add 7 to it and give you 11. But mostly when the 9 and 13 is the extension that are most used on the dominant chords in the major key, on the dominant 7th chord. And I'm talking about the primary chord, the primary dominant 7 chord in the major key. But well, you're going to see. The primary dominant 7 chord in the major key, in the major scale, for example, G dominant 7th chord, normally it's supposed to resolve on the 1 chord, note number 1 of the major scale. So in the key of C major, so it's supposed to resolve on C major. Okay, That's a primary dominant 7 chord. So, but when you play your G, when you play your G7th, G dominant 7th, so you can add the 9 to it, which is the 9 is going to be A. So you add the note, you add A to it, make it 9, and 13 is going to be, what is it? 13 is going to be the G on the G. G, A, B, C, D, E. So it's gonna be E. So you play your G major. You play your you play your G dominant 7 chord, and then you add 9, which is note A, and you add 13, which is the note E. Then you have your dominant G dominant 7, 9, and 13 that is going to resolve on a major tonic. In this case, since it is a primary dominant 7 chord, it's going to resolve on normally on the 1 chord. But you know, we cannot say it cannot be resolved on other chords, because you know, in music, when you have progressions, different type of progressions going on, you never know what nuances you can find yourself facing, and then you end up resolving that primary dominant 7 chord to a different chord. That can happen, you know, because to me, music is like when you never know what's going to happen, because sometimes you think you play a bad note, and then let's say you soloing, you improvising on a progression, and then now you know, more than likely you probably know what notes you're going to play, not specifically, but you have an idea, and all of a sudden you play a note that you know you were not supposed to play and then you all of a sudden, the note that you just played and you thought that was bad sounds good. Okay then, so if it sounds good, it's okay. So sometimes we think we play bad notes, and then in the context we playing, the notes sound good, so we keep what you can do. Okay, welcome. So you keep those notes. So so in the key of C major, as I've if you, like I said, you have to, if you've been watching my videos, my YouTube videos on the subject, you know that I say that in the key of C major, you not only you have well, in any major key, as a matter of fact, but I'm using C major scale as an example. So we also have a part of the primary dominant 7 chord we know in the key of C major is G dominant 7th, or you can add 9 and 13. We have 5 other dominant chords we can play. We can draw from the C major scale and use. So they're not supposed to be, according to the diatonic structure of the major scale. Those chords are not supposed to be dominant seventh chord. Okay, for example, let me give you an example. In the key of C major, you can build a chord on each note of the scale, but every chord built on a specific note has a name and has a specific structure and a type. So if you play something else, maybe in another note or another chord that is not part of the structure, of the diatonic structure of the major scale you're playing in, so that particular chord or note is not going to be diatonic to the scale, because it doesn't belong to the scale. So on the C, let's take the C major scale for example, and we're going to see, we're going to find what chords can be built on the notes of the scale. You got a C. You start with C, right? C. Then we know on the C you can build a chord. It's going to be a C major seventh chord. Then you go to D, the second degree of the C major scale. We also know that that chord is going to be a minor chord. It's going to be a minor chord because it is on the second degree of a major scale. The chord is going to be a minor chord. Okay. The same thing for the third degree, which is E in the key of C major. So it's going to be E minor 7. And then you go to the fourth note of the C major scale, which is F. The fourth note of the major scale, the chord built on the fourth note of the major scale is a major chord. Okay, it's going to be F major 7th, or F major 7, F major 9, whatever. Now you go to the fifth degree of the scale, which is of the C major scale. It's going to be the fifth degree in the key of C major is G. So that chord is going to be a dominant 7th chord. Okay. When you play dominant 7th chord, it's actually let's say you play. Let me put it this way: you play a dominant 7 chord on the 5th degree of the C major is going to be a G dominant 7 chord. The scale for that chord is going to be G, A, and so on. But remember, when you play dominant 7 scale, the 7th, okay, the 7th note of the scale is going to be flattened. It's going to be flat. Okay? Alright, so keep that in mind. Every time you hear dominant 7th, that means we're also talking about flat 7th of the major scale for you to get your dominant 7th chord. Okay, so we know. Then we move to the sixth degree of the C major scale. is going to be A. On the 6th degree, on the 6th note of a major scale, you get a minor chord. In the key of C major, you get A minor. All right. So then you move then you move to the 7th degree of the scale. Okay, that would be in the key of C. Is going to be in the key of C major. It's going to be B. Okay, on the 7th note of the major scale, you're going to build a chord, but that chord is going to be minus 7 flat 5. Okay, so you see, for each note of the major scale, you have a specific chord. C major 7, D minor 7th, E minor 7th, F major 7th, G dominant 7th. It can also be G major 7. You can substitute. And you got A minor 7, and you got B minor 7th flat 9, which is actually which you can also call half diminished chord. Half diminished chord, because if you lower that flat 7 in that chord, I'm talking about B minor 7 flat 5. If you lower the flat 7, then you're gonna get, I think you're gonna get to 6, and now you're gonna have a full diminished chord. You're gonna have a full diminished 7th chord. Okay, so all those chords that I just mentioned to you in the key of C major, they are diatonic to the C major scale. And it's the same thing for all the major scales, all the other major scales. All you have to do is transpose, and then you do the same thing. Okay, so if I bring another chord from somewhere, try to make it fit in my C major scale, like let's say like a F sharp major 7th, it's not part of the scale. That chord F sharp major 7 is not part of the C major scale. So that for that reason, it is not diatonic to the major scale, to the C major scale. Excuse me. That's what diatonic is. Okay. So in my recent videos about on the subject of secondary dominant, I said that in a major key you have one primary dominant 7th chord, which is in the key of C major. It is a G dominant 7, and it's going to resolve on the 1 chord. You got like I said before, you got 5 more dominant 7th you can draw from the C major scale, or from any major scale. And the second one, I think you saw it. You probably saw it. You saw it in my recent video. The second one is a what you do, you build, okay, you build a seventh chord, a dominant seventh chord on note number 1. We take the C major scale, for example. On the C major scale, you remember that according to the rules, the chord that has to be the chord that you can build on note number 1 C is a major chord, major 7 chord. But you can choose to use a dominant 7 chord on that note, on the C note, and that's what I explain in my recent video on the subject. Now, if you choose to play a dominant 7th chord on C, number 1 note in the scale, that's fine, but you cannot call it a primary dominant 7th chord, because in the major scale, according to the rule, the note 1 is not a dominant 7th chord. But since you chose to play a dominant 7th chord on the number 1 note, that's fine. But the only thing is, it is a secondary dominant 7th chord, and normally it's not going to resolve on the 1 chord. Okay, it's going to resolve somewhere else. But you got to remember, now we can call the number 1 dominant 7 chord. I mean, the dominant 7 chord you built on number one note, which is C. You're gonna call it C dominant 7th. So you can call it 5/7. Because why you call it 5/7? Because it is 5/7 primary dominant chord of another tonic, and that tonic, this is where the dominant 7th is going to resolve on. Okay, so we're going to call 1/7 5/7, but 5/7 of what tonic? Well, in the key of C major, the 1/7, which is C7 here, is gonna be 5/7 of 4. Okay, in the key in the major key. 5/7. That means dominant 7th of tonic of tonic number 4. In the key of C, number 4 note is F. And what chord can you build? What type of chord can we build on the 4th degree of a major scale? A major chord, which is in the key of C, F major 7. So C7, when you resolve it, you're going to resolve it on the 4th degree of the major scale, which is F major 7. So 5/7 of 4, dominant 7th of 4, dominant 7th of F. So when you see that, since we know the tonic where C dominant 7th is going to resolve on is a major chord, okay, a major chord that belongs to a major scale. So we know in the key of C, the scale is going to be F major scale. So if you play, when you play the F major scale, now when you get, you're gonna get F, G, okay, F, G, and so on and so on. When you get to the 5th degree of the scale, guess what? You're gonna end up on C, we're talking about now, and C dominant 7th. That's the 5th degree of the F major scale. So now it is the C7th chord is the primary dominant 7th chord of F major scale. Now for you to improvise over C dominant 7th chord, sorry, for you to improvise over the C dominant 7th chord, you can use the F major scale, you know, to choose to get your notes, to play your solo. Because as you playing the F major scale, you're also playing the C dominant 7th scale. You understand? Because in the F major scale, the F, okay, the F is the F major scale, all the F to F is the Ionian mode. And when you get to the C, which is the 5th note of the scale, that's the Mixolydian mode. If you start improvising, playing, using C dominant 7th scale all the way to C, you also play F major scale. If you start with F all the way to F, you also play the C dominant 7th scale. Okay? And now if you move to the 2nd degree of the major scale, of the C major scale, that's D, you're supposed to have a minor chord on this note, the 2nd degree of the C major scale, or of any major scale. You're supposed to have a minor chord, which is in this case D minor or D minor 7. Okay, all right. But if you choose to play just like you probably did with number one, if you choose to play D dominant 7th chord instead of D minor, then it's going to be a secondary dominant 7th chord, which has to resolve on another chord, not on the 1 chord of the C major scale. So now you're going to have D dominant 7th chord. It's not diatonic to the C major scale because it's D minor or D minor 7. That's the chord that is diatonic to the C major scale, because when you play the C major scale all the way, you build a chord on each note. That chord is here. It's not a D dominant 7th chord. But if you play a D dominant 7th chord, that's a secondary dominant 7th chord in the scale, which is going to resolve on another tonic. Well, let me tell you. Now, remember you call the dominant 7th chord on note 1, 1 7. So now you can call this one 2 7. All right, 2/7. Okay, you got a 2/7, but it's going to resolve. You got to keep in mind, when you play a dominant 7th chord, which is a secondary dominant 7th chord, on the second degree, on the second note of a major scale, or in this case of in this case C major scale, that dominant 7th chord is going to resolve. It's supposed to resolve on what? It's supposed to resolve on the 5th note, number 5 of the scale. In this case, it's going to resolve on G major 7. All right, G major 7. So remember, I said you got five secondary dominant chords that you can draw from a major scale. So we got, forget the primary. The primary is a different story. Okay, the secondary, we got one on note 1. We got one on note 2. So we got three more to go. So the one on the 1, the secondary dominant chords we built on the number 1 chord. The one that we built on the second 1 chord, they both resolve on major chord. Remember, the C 7th chord resolve on the 4th degree of the scale, which is F major 7. And now the D dominant 7th that we build on the 2nd degree of the C major scale is going to resolve on the 5th note of the scale, which is G, but it's going to be G major 7. All right. So if you want to improvise over G dominant 7, no, not G dominant 7, D dominant 7 chord, and you know it's going to resolve on G, okay, G major 7. So that means that now we know that D dominant 7 chord, which is secondary dominant chord in the key of C, now is it is the primary dominant chord in the key of G. Now to improvise, now you can, if you play G, the G scale all the way to G, G from G, you also play the D dominant 7 scale. And if you play the D dominant 7th scale all the way to D, you also play the G major 7 scale. You see how that goes? So now, so we can call, so that means that D dominant 7 chord is a dominant 7 chord. It's a secondary dominant 7 chord. That means it's a 5/7 because it is the 5th note in the key of G. So we're going to call it dominant 7th of 5, the 5th note in the key. Dominant 7th chord of 5, because 5 number 5 with G is the tonic. It's a major tonic that D is going to resolve on. So D dominant 7 is a dominant 7 chord of G, 5/7 of G, because in the key of G, D is the 5th note. Yeah. Okay. So I am going to go. Alright, I don't want to come back to this. Now, you, let's say you play, let's build a dominant 7 chord. Remember, if we build one on note 1, we built one on note 2. Let's build one on the third note of the C major scale, E. So it's going to be E dominant 7th chord. Well, it is the same scenario. It is the same scenario. The only thing is the dominant 7 chord built on the 3rd degree of the C major scale is going to resolve on a minor tonic, not a major tonic like the one that we just played, like the C and D dominant 7. E dominant 7. If you build a dominant 7 chord on the 3rd degree of the major scale, in this case the C major scale, is going to resolve on a minor tonic. Okay, so there's a little nuance here when you resolve a chord to a major. When you move from a dominant 7, from a dominant chord, and you go to a major chord, you resolve the major chord. And when you move from a dominant 7 chord and you resolve to a minor chord, there's a little nuance here that we need to understand. So the tonic in this case is going to be like A minor, which is the sixth degree of the C major scale. A minor, 6, note number 6. So the dominant 7 chord that we build on the 3rd degree of the C major scale, E dominant 7 scale, is going to resolve on the 6th degree of the C major scale, which is A minor. Okay? E dominant 7 move. When you move, you resolve it. If we're going to resolve on A minor, 3rd degree, resolve on the 6th degree. Okay. Now, if you want to add tension, just like I said, you can add tension to the dominant 7th chord. But there's a difference when you resolve from a major, when you resolve a dominant 7 chord to a major tonic, and when you do so to a minor tonic. When it comes to the extensions 9 and 13, if you resolve your dominant 7th chord to a major tonic, you add 9 and 13. Right? You can play G dominant 7, 9, 13, and you resolve on C. Same thing you can do if you play D dominant 7, 9, 13, you resolve on G. But if you're gonna play you cannot do that when you resolve from E dominant 7. Okay, let me put it this way. Yeah. I think I said you use 9 and 13 for those, but in this case, when you got a dominant 7 chord on the third degree of the major scale, like E dominant 7 chord, you know you're going to resolve on the minor chord, the extension 9 and 13. Okay, for two, I would say in this case, when you build it on the third degree of the scale, the extensions, they're going to be flat 9 and flat 13. That means you're going to play dominant 7 flat 9 flat 13, which is going to be E dominant 7 flat 9 flat 13, and you resolve on A minor, which is the 6th degree of the scale, of the C major scale. Now the same way if you want to improvise now you're dealing with a minor scale now, A minor. Okay, it's a different story. Let me turn this off. Now you're dealing with a minor scale, and you got a dominant 7th, you got a dominant chord, dominant 7th chord that is going to resolve on the minor tonic, which is A minor. So you got two scales now. Okay, you got your dominant 7th, you got A minor scale, and you got your E dominant 7th scale. Except when you use your E dominant 7th scale, since you're going to resolve on A minor, you're going to flatten the 9 and the 13, so you can have E dominant 7 flat 9 and flat 13, and you resolve to the A minor chord. So in this case, the scale that you play, you're gonna play A harmonic minor scale in this case. Okay. So when you play your A harmonic minor scale, you're also playing the E dominant 7th chord and its extensions. If you play the dominant 7th chord and then the dominant 7th, the E dominant 7th scale, you're also playing the A harmonic minor scale. So in this case, when you improvise, you're going to use A harmonic minor scale and then E dominant 7th scale. Okay, that's what you use. And the chords are, okay, the chord will be E minor 7, no, E dominant 7 flat 9 flat 13, and then the chord of resolution A minor can be A minor 9, A minor, whatever you want to play. If everything I just told you now is the same thing, if you so now it's dominant 7 of 6, so 5/7 of 6. Okay, 5/7 of note number 6 in the C major scale, dominant 7 of A minor. Okay, so everything that I just told you now is the same thing if you build a dominant 7 chord on the note, let's say you build a dominant 7 chord on the note B, on the note B in the major scale. So you're going to have B dominant 7. Okay? So what you're going to do now is B dominant 7th. It's going to resolve on note number 3. But I mean, it's going to resolve on a chord built on note number 3 of the major scale. In this case, the C major scale. So it's going to resolve on E minor. Okay, so it's going to be 5/7. Okay, it's going to be dominant 7 of 3 dominant 7th chord in the key of note number 3, which is going to be E minor scale. It's the same thing in this case. It's the same thing as the one I just told you earlier. It's going to be, the scale is going to be E harmonic minor scale. And then the B is going to be dominant 7, flat 9, flat 13 to resolve. And it's going to resolve on E minor or E minor 9, whatever you want. Okay, those two. Okay, those two are exactly the same. Okay. Now let's see. I think there's another. Yeah, let's see. There's another one. What about what about 5/7 of what about if you build a dominant 7th chord on note number 6 in the key of C major. Note number 6 in the key of C major is A. So now you have A dominant 7 chord, and you can add extension. Okay, so now you got A, that's not note number 6. Okay, so every time you have a secondary dominant chord built on the 6th note of the scale, in this case of C major scale, it's going to resolve on note number 2, and in this case is a D minor. Okay, so A dominant 7th chord is going to resolve on note number 2, which is a minor chord. So it's going to be a minor tonic. So dominant 7, A, resolve on 2, which is D. Note number 2, which is D minor. So dominant 7 of 2, dominant 5/7 of 2. What are the scales? Well, the scale is going to be Mixolydian scale, which I should have mentioned before. The scale for the dominant 7th. The dominant 7th scale, they are called Mixolydian mode. And then if you have flat 9, flat 13, then it's going to be Mixolydian flat 9, flat 13, and so on. So now you have A7, which is going to resolve on 2, D minor. So D minor is going to be a minor scale, D minor scale, but the minor scale built on note number 2 is not a harmonic minor scale. It's a melodic minor scale. Okay, see the difference? In this case, when you're resolving your dominant 7 chord to note number 2 in the major scale, in this case D minor, the scale, the minor scale that you're going to start on the root, which is on the number 2 note, which is the root. This is a melodic minor scale, not a harmonic minor scale like the other 2 chords, like the one that resolve on 3 and the one that resolve on 6. The dominant 7 chord, that the secondary dominant 7 chords that resolve on note number 6 and 3 of the major scale, in this case C major scale. The scale of the tonic is harmonic minor scale, but when you dominant 7 chord like A dominant 7 chord here, it's going to resolve on the second degree of the major scale. That scale is not harmonic minor scale. It's going to be D melodic minor scale. Okay, you got to see the difference here. So in this case, what about the chords? What about the extension in this case? Remember, the other 2 cases, we have flat 9 and flat 13. Flat 9 and flat 13, they are related to harmonic minor scale. But now we're talking about melodic minor scale. When you resolve a dominant 7, chord to the second degree of the major scale, which is a minor chord. Well, that case is like I said before, it is a harmonic. No, it's a melodic minor scale. In this case, the extension that you're going to add to your dominant 7 chord, which is A dominant 7 chord, is going to be 9 and flat 13. Now we're talking about melodic minor scale with flat 9 and flat 13 added to your dominant 7 chord. That is in relation with the melodic minor scale. The other 2, harmonic minor scale, flat 9 and flat 13. You gotta remember that. But most musicians, they just play flat 9 and flat 13, whether or not they're using melodic or harmonic minor scale. You know, most musicians do that. They don't really make that. They don't really care about that kind of nuances. They just go ahead and play. Okay, I don't want to go through all that problem. I'm just going to play flat 9, flat 13 on everything. Yeah, most musicians do that. So basically, that's it when it comes to secondary dominant. Today I wanted to finish this subject. That's the reason why I have not played the guitar, because I wanted to, you know, I have not played the guitar because I wanted to concentrate on the subject side, so you and I can understand the concept of secondary dominant seventh chord. And before I close, I want to let you know that when those videos, I don't plan, I don't prepare, you know, anything when I record these videos. I don't prepare what I'm going to do. No, I do it on the fly. Why? Because this is, for me, this is just practice. So I don't need to plan it. Okay, I'm just practicing. So there's a, if you hear something or you see something that if you see a mistake, let's say if you hear or see a mistake that I made, an honest mistake that I made, so I'm assuming that you know music enough to understand that, well, I don't think you probably say, well, that's I don't think he meant that. I don't think he meant to say that. That's just like when you're typing, you make a typo. So yeah, so if you see a mistake, an honest mistake that I make, just go ahead and fix it in your own mind. So I think that's it for that's it for the topic of secondary dominant, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm not playing anything today, so let me see. Maybe I play a few chords. Let's see. All right, I'll play a few chords. This is C secondary dominant, and I'm resolving on F major 7. You see, this is I think I was wrong. This is the C dominant 7. I'm going to play C dominant 7 9/13, resolving on F major 7. F major 6/9. Okay, now I'm gonna play G dominant 7 9/13, resolving on G major 7, G major 7 6/9. Okay, this is A minor. This is A minor 9. Yeah, this is A minor 9. Okay, let me play, let's see, okay, this is E minor 9. This is E minor 9. Yeah, B. Okay, well, I'm a little tired. Where's A? This is A. Alright, what is this? Let me see. Let me do something. That's A Ionian, right? So if I do this, A Ionian, that means what I did, I play I lower third, I lower note number 6 and note number 7. harmonic minor. No. Yeah. If I want to play A harmonic, A minor harmonic, what I can do is raise the 7 because, and then I get my scale. Let me see. Okay, let's do it. You got your guitar? Alright. Okay. What about melodic? Melodic should be easy. Melodic scale, melodic minor scale should be easy. So all I need to do is well, okay. This is A minor. Let me do this. Okay, this is A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let me play the major scale. Let's see. Okay, so if I do this, okay, go back. Hi. Nah. Okay. Okay. Again. Okay. Okay, now I did it now. Yeah. Practice. I just play E melodic, no, not E, A melodic minor scale. Okay, what I did, I just play, you see I was practicing, I played a major scale, and I say, well, all I need to do is lower the third